So you want strong operational cash flow, because quite often people that buy the business are going to need finance. The only way they're going to get finance is that there's strong operational cash flow to pay the repayments on the finance.
Do you want to earn more? Work less and enjoy what you do each day. It's no secret, it can be done. This podcast with Dr. T will not only educate and inspire you, it will also teach you how to do more and be more with the time you already have. It will be like a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of your business. Here is your host, Tyson Franklin.
Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of It's No Secret with Dr. T. Now, I have a past guest who has come back into the studio to have a talk to me. His name is Sam Harrop, and we're going to be talking about Small Business Big Exit, which is the name of his second book that he co-authored with Stuart Goodfellow. So it's actually Small Business Big Exit, how to make more money selling your business than running it. Sam, welcome back onto It's No Secret with Dr. T. How you doing?
Well, thank you for having me back. It's great to be here today. Thanks for that.
So the first podcast I did with you must have been okay to actually have you back.
That's right. It was good fun. We went a little off topic and
a couple of times, but we sort of, the whole idea, like I always say, it's about earning more, working less, and enjoying what you do each day. And I think your second book, Small Business Big Exit, is just something that every small business owner, I think should get their hands on it and read the book, but they should be thinking about the big exit from day dot.
Absolutely. The sooner people plan their exit, the better. You know, the best time to sell a business is when you want to, not when you have to. And there are so many circumstances that are often beyond our control that put people in really difficult situations where they are forced to sell their business. Their business is not prepared, they're not prepared, and either the business doesn't sell or they get a much lower price than if they'd put in a little bit of effort earlier on, invested the time, they would have got a much, much better return.
I've heard some really, really ugly stories of people who have had a family business, and I know they had offers to purchase it, and they'd said no because this is a family business. We want to keep it in the family, and they've held on it because the kids are going to take over this family business. Now the kids never had any intentions of ever taking over the family business. They left. They moved on different careers, and then it's a husband and wife left with the business. The husband's died.
Yep.
And then the wife can't run the business by herself. So now she's being forced to try and sell it. Nobody wants to buy it from her because they know if they just wait 6 months, the business is going to keep dropping, and they can sweep in, pick up the scraps for next to nothing. Is that a common story?
It is a common story. So 84% of businesses listed for sale don't sell.
84%?
84%.
Wow.
And in Australia, the average selling price of a business is average. So you take your excellent businesses and your not so excellent businesses.
Yeah.
And they sell for 1.5 times earnings is sort of the average, the national average.
What's earnings is in profits or gross turnover?
No, profits, as in profits. And those are often adjusted profits. So they will add certain stuff back, but it's always 9 times out of 10, it's less than what they expected. Family businesses is always an interesting one. Often the conversation we have with parents is exactly what you said. Do the kids want to actually buy into the business? Is this your dream or theirs?
Yeah.
Often kids go, "Are you mad? Have you seen how hard my parents have worked? I'm not going to do that." And the other point as well is we look at businesses, and most business sales fall over. We've got a sort of a 5-step framework that we go through, and it's because people leave out step 1 or step 5. So step 1 is getting really clear around why you want to sell, when you want to sell, and how much you want to sell for and how much you need to sell for.
Okay, yeah.
And if people aren't clear around that...
What's number 5?
Number 5 is what we call... So that's what we call purpose. And then number 5 is what we call perform. And it's all based around this, that when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down.
Oh, big time.
And people are emotionally attached to their businesses. And so when people are making offers, often people get offended. And when they get offended, they say, well, they can go and jam it. That was polite enough.
That was very polite.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Pleasure. So, you can go jam it. And so they end up walking away from most probably the best deal that they're going to get.
And I've heard that a lot with people like you said, emotionally it will tell another buyer, shove it, I can get a better offer somewhere else. And then you hear 12 months later, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years later, they end up only getting offered half what they were offered 5 years before that, and they've put their life on hold for 5 years, waiting for a better offer, which was never going to come because they didn't do what was necessary.
Well, interesting story. I had a client come to me. So I'm not a business broker, and the reason why I say that is whoever gives you advice, you always have to be aware of what's in that advice for them. So you need me to help you make your business more valuable and more saleable, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I make my money. You pay me a fee. But a business broker makes their money from selling your business. So they've got a vested interest. It's easier to sell a cheaper business than a more expensive business. But their story can also change because they want to get the listing. So they may tell you your business is worth more than what it's worth. So you list with them, but then negotiate you down.
So it sounds like real estate.
Okay. So, and like with real estate agents, you've got great real estate agents and you've got not so great real estate agents. Same applies to brokers.
So like a business broker makes the money from the sale of the business. Your goal is to make the business more valuable. As a business coach.
That's right. Exactly right. And so what happens is, one of the things I do is I have an honest conversation early on.
Or can you, just before you go any further, because I read a statistic recently that usually in the first 5 to 10 minutes of a podcast, this is where most people switch off.
Right.
Okay. Now, I want to point something out really early on here, which is why do not press the friggin' off switch. Is because what we're talking about here, if you're not in the market to sell your business right now, this is not what we're not telling you. You need to be listening to this because you're getting ready to sell your business. You need to listen to this because one day you may be looking at selling your business, and this is what you need to know now so you can get the most money in the future. So sorry, I just need to point that out because I would hate people to switch off now thinking, oh, and I'm not really in the market of selling my business, but you're going to be.
Oh, okay. So one of the things we say is what's good for this buyer is also good for the seller. So in other words, if you've got a really good business and you decide not to sell it, that's great for you.
You've got a good business.
You've got a good business and you have a choice. So even if you're thinking like one day I may want to sell this business, but let me make this business really valuable. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So not only profitable, but valuable, then you have the choice, because if somebody's going to buy your business, you may not want to sell it because it's so good you can keep it.
Yeah.
That's okay. You've at least got choices. So I had this conversation and I said to him, how much money do you need? And he's like, well, I don't know. I said, well, let's work that out. Have you got a financial planner? Let's sit down and work out how much money you actually need to sell the business to meet your objective. His objective was to retire. Now, there's retiring on baked beans and toast.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's retiring and living like a rock star, and there's something in between.
Bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs. I'm good with bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
And burgers.
And burgers.
There we go. So sat down and met with his financial planner, and we worked out what he actually had to sell his business for. And then I said to him, what's your walk away price? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, what's the absolute minimum offer? And we'll just use an easy number. And he said, $1 million. I say, yeah, but what happens if I offered you $900,000 cash for your business today? He goes, oh, I'd take that. So I say, okay, so your walkaway price is maybe $900 or less. Anyway, we worked around, and eventually his walkaway price for this example was $700,000. Okay, like he would walk away from the business.
Yeah.
Now, understand a business deal, not all business deals are paid cash up front. There's all kinds of ways of structuring a deal, with script or shares and options and bonuses and all of that.
So keep it simple.
Keep it simple, right? So 700,000. Anyway, his offer comes in. So we're at the 5th step now. We'll talk about the other 3 steps in between. And he gets an offer at 1.3 million.
Nice,
right? So he's like, Sam, this is amazing. I've got a letter of intent. Man, we're going to smash this. I can't believe we've got an offer so quickly. And it was a listed company. And I said to him, think of this as like, this is a 100-meter race. And the starting gun has only just gone off. You are one step into a 100-meter race. He goes, what do you mean? We've got a letter to offer. I said, wait, we've got due diligence. We've got all of this stuff coming up. Anyway, it went on for 6 months. His final offer was round about 850,000 cash, pretty much. Balance was in script, so it took him to $1 million. He said, no, he wanted to go away from the deal. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, they offered me 1.3. Now they're offering me $850 plus some options or whatever. This is BS. They can go stick it. I said, do me a favor, go back to your desk and open up the envelope that I've made you write something down when we started 6 months ago.
That's right, yeah, because it was
And
only, was it
700,000.
Yeah.
I said, you've got 150,000 more in your hand today than you were prepared to walk away from. And you've still got options and bonuses where you can go well over $1 million. And so he did the deal. But I'm telling you now, if we hadn't done that right in the beginning, he would have told them to stick it. And it was a good deal. It was a good deal.
Because he had forgotten about what had happened, and then he got emotional and then got stupid.
That's right. Got emotionally attached to the offer of 1.3. Suddenly somebody says it's worth 1.3, and fundamentally that business was not worth 1.3. But that's the game.
So what was it? So why did they offer? Was that just to grab his interest and make him start talking and negotiating with him?
Where it came in is his business was one of the smaller businesses that they'd ever bought. So they normally bought much bigger businesses. And so some of their valuation, they'd done it very briefly, put in a letter of intent. A letter of intent is that all that is. It's a letter of intent, and it's subject to due diligence. Obviously, as due diligence goes on, they start to look at stuff. And this company, before we went into negotiations, we did a bit of a background check to make sure they actually were serious buyers and they had bought other businesses. But what it was is one of the strategies is what we call seller fatigue. So if people get tired, they're more likely to take a lower offer is the one strategy behind that. And it's a bit like running a marathon, for example. Like, 10Ks in, yeah, this is okay.
Everyone's running a big group.
But if I told you at 32 kilometers, it is going to hurt. It is going to hurt so much you're going to want to quit. It is going to be extremely, extremely painful. I want you to expect the worst, okay? Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. But when you get to 32, it's not going to be as bad as I've made it out to be.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to finish the marathon. But if I said, if you've done 10, it'll be easy to get to 42.
Just 4 times.
And you've spoken about this as well, is prepare for the worst.
Talk to your future self.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we are. Talk to your future self. So it's a bit of that. And just saying, expect it, having been through it. And this is the advantage of having a coach or a mentor, is having gone through it. You've sold businesses.
Yeah.
Was it as you've sold a number of businesses.
Yeah.
The first business you sold.
My first one I sold was in 1992.
And was it easy?
That one was. It was just a really easy sale, but it was one of those things. The first business I ever sold, I was forced to sell it.
Right.
I had a podiatry clinic on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
It was going along pretty well, even though I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I had no idea about business. I was just flying by the seat of my pants.
So like most other business owners.
Like most business owners. Then I injured my... easiest way to explain it, I had a hand injury and I couldn't work anymore.
Right.
So I had insurance. There's another long story attached to that, which is quite funny, which I'll tell you about one day. So I was off work for 12 months. I was getting the insurance money. It was all fine. Income protection and business expense insurance.
Good insurances to have.
2 insurances that I recommend most people should have.
I agree.
And
this is not financial advice, folks.
No. And then, so what happened is, at the end of 12 months, the business insurance for my business expenses had to end. It was only for 12 months.
Right.
So it was either one of those things you had organised your business or you were back at work, something like that. Anyway, I still could not work. And so I was actually approached by an opposing practice.
Yep.
And they just came to me and said, hey, look, we hear that, you haven't worked for a year, things are a bit tough. We'll buy your practice off you. And I went, oh, okay. So I sold it. So it was really easy. It was an A4 piece of paper. We just signed it, and pretty much it took a week. It was a really fast, easy process, but I wasn't really in a position to negotiate. I had a podiatrist working for me who then left.
Right.
So I had a business, no one to work there, and they just came in and offered me a certain amount of money. And the money wasn't great, but in comparison, it was about... if I looked at my gross turnover, it was about 25% of my gross turnover is what they paid me.
Wow.
It was not good, but it was enough money to, even though I was still getting income protection insurance.
Yeah.
It was a nice little package for me, but it was enough for me to sort of go, you know what, I'm going to take just 6 months off, do nothing, relax, see if my hand improves. It did. I moved to Cairns. It was the best thing. In hindsight, best thing I ever did was actually selling the business. But it was one of those things. It was a forced sale.
Okay, so just go back there for a second. Did you have an expectation on a sale price, or did they just approach you and you looked at it as an easy way? Did you have some idea? Okay.
I had no idea what a business would be worth. To me, it was worth nothing because...
Okay, so you were fortunate. A lot of people have an expectation on what their business is worth, particularly when they think about selling their business. And this is the second step, which
my
is...
last sale, though.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Okay, so your last sale, my understanding, you sold to a much bigger group.
Yep, a lot bigger group who really wanted they wanted my business bad.
Yep.
And so it was great.
So that's what we call a strategic sale, and that's where you're going to get your best return. You're going to do much better on a strategic sale, particularly if your business can add massive value to an existing business.
Yeah.
Than a lot of people, when they think of selling their business, they think, I'll just sell to somebody like myself. I'll sell to a mom and pop type scenario or whatever the case may be. But when we start really wanting to get good multiples for our business and get a high value, it's around a strategic buyout.
Yeah, they strategically needed wanted my business because it was just going to put like the icing on the cake to what they were doing.
Right.
So, but going way back, what I'd learnt over the last 30 years was the day I set this one up in Cairns, I had always set it up with the intentions that I'm going to sell this puppy one day. And when I sell it, whoever buys it is going to buy an absolute brilliant business. So it was set up from day dot that I'm going to sell it.
Well, I'll ask you a bit more about that, actually. We'll swap this interview over in a second because we talk about priming your business for sale. And I'm sure you've got a lot of that in place and it'll be interesting to explore. The second step is what we call peak, which is finding out actually what is your business currently worth. Now, most people will just have a look at Gumtree or whatever, and everybody thinks their business is worth, generally it's one of three numbers: 500,000, million, or $5 million.
Is that right?
Yeah. Everybody, and the majority is like, my business is worth $1 million. And I'm like, based on what? Well, that's what I need. Really? Is that what you need, or is that what you want?
Okay.
It's just the most bizarre thing. So people have these expectations, right, that their business is worth $1 million, but it's actually only worth $300,000, or it might not even be worth anything.
Can I tell you something funny?
Yeah.
I used to always say, if someone walked into my business and gave me a check with $1 million, I'd walk out tomorrow. Isn't that funny?
Isn't it? Yep, there we go. It's an easy number to pull out. And again, the assumption is, right, that $1 million is what you end up with in your hand. But it's not what people pay for your business, it's what you actually end up with afterwards. So a lot of businesses are carrying heavy debt. A lot of businesses have got unfavorable leases in place.
Yeah, that all goes against, that can go against you.
Yeah, it can be, a good lease can be an asset, but a bad lease can really be, really tie you in. So there are all of these factors that come in. And so people think, $1 million, I'll walk away with $1 million. But they've often got a lot of debt that's behind them. They've got there's taxes to be paid, and if they don't have a good accountant, they will end up paying way more than they need to. And if they haven't planned the exit a couple of months, years in advance, all of these things come into play. And so then we go to the third step. So first one is purpose, getting clear around why we're selling, when we're going to sell, what we need. Second one is peak. What is my business worth? Now, if you turn around and say, well, I only need $1 million and my business is worth $10 million, well, you can skip out the next step.
What's the next step?
Peak. Prime.
Oh, prime.
Prime. And prime is all around rapidly increasing the value of your business. And we've created an acronym for it. And the acronym is PACIFY. Okay, as in pacify the buyer of your business, potential buyer of your business. So the first one is profits. Businesses are sold on profit and are bought on profit and sold on potential.
Yeah.
You want a business to be highly, highly profitable. The next one is the A, assets. So you want to have both tangible and intangible assets. So examples of assets would be, your equipment, your plant and equipment. That's easy. But what about your contracts? Have you got contracts? Are those contracts with you, or are they with the business? Or you don't have contracts?
Okay.
It could be a favorable lease. It could be agreements with agreements or people referring. So you've got all of that set up.
Yeah.
The next one is cash flow. Okay. Your business, the stronger your operational cash flow, the easier it makes for somebody to buy your business. In other words, operational cash flow is the money that comes from doing the work of your business.
So it's not having money coming in, but there's a lot of outstanding accounts and you're waiting for that to come in.
Yeah, so operational cash flow is from doing the work of the business. So in your case, it's from podiatry. It's not like buying and selling equipment, for example. Yeah. It's from doing the actual business.
Okay.
So some people might go, oh, I got really high profits because I bought this vehicle really cheap and I managed to sell it. I'm like, hold on.
Oh, so that's not normal. It's not a normal day-to-day running of the business. So to be like, say, we use podiatry because I know the industry. So it's like a podiatrist all of a sudden gets a one-off contract just to do a particular, but that's never going to happen again.
Yeah, and so that would be, it still fall into operational cash flow, but it wouldn't fall into, you'd look at that and adjust it. Like if I saw a sudden spike in your figures, I'd ask, what was that spike? And if you go, oh, it's a once-off, well, then we'd factor that into the value of the business.
Or I'd buy a piece of equipment and all of a sudden that piece of equipment skyrocketed in value because the factory that made it burnt down and there's only a limited number.
And you sold it.
And I had two.
Yep.
And I sold one for 5 times what it was worth.
Exactly. That would not be operational cash flow. So you want strong operational cash flow because quite often people that buy the business are going to need finance. The only way they're going to get finance is that there's strong operational cash flow to pay the repayments on the finance.
Makes sense.
So that's profits, assets, cash flow. The next one is independence. Independence not only from you, the business owner, okay, but from any one supplier, any one or number of customers, and any one or number of team members. So if your business is highly, highly dependent upon you and your skills as a podiatrist, then another podiatrist is going to have to buy your business. What you did is
I didn't work.
You didn't work, right? You were off the tools.
Yeah, I was.
There's a story behind that word, isn't there?
Yeah. I had a patient that was a complete utter tool. So, and I make no apologies for saying that now, but it's one of those things. But I decided that I had stepped away from the tools. That I wanted to manage the business. I didn't necessarily want to be in that room working with people day in, day out.
So what does that do for your business?
It made my business very strong.
Very strong, very valuable. Like now, somebody that wasn't a podiatrist had the opportunity to look at buying your business.
Yeah.
Right. So that's around independence. Now imagine if your old business that you sold down on the Gold Coast, independence was around your team member. As soon as your team member left, there was nobody else there to replace him.
Yeah, and I couldn't work.
That's right. And then other businesses, you look at their business. So I had one of my clients looking at buying a business, and I looked at where their work came from. And over 70% of their work came from one customer and no contract. But even if they'd had a contract, the risk is too great.
Yeah.
If you've got one customer that makes up 70% of your business, you're not a business owner. You're their puppet.
You're a contractor.
Yeah, you're a contractor, man, and it could go anytime. So that would be an example. And then the next one, and again, you did this really well, is first impressions. If you walk into a business and it looks tired and the owner's tired and everything looks tired and looks terrible, people aren't going to buy it. But people buy with their eyes, right?
Yeah.
And so we walked in, you had your new clinic and it was awesome. We had superheroes on the walls.
I still reckon it's the best clinic. To me, I see a lot of podiatry clinics and I still reckon my business, when you walked in, just had a certain vibe about it.
Okay, and so this is a podcast and people can't see your eyes, but as you talk about your clinic, you smile, you light up. It was something you were proud of. People walk in there was a certain vibe. I was
extremely proud of it. And I think every business owner, if you can't walk people through the front door of your business and it's like showing off a baby or showing off how cool your kids are, then you need to step back and fix up a few things because you should be so proud of what you put together.
Yeah. Again, if you're proud and you really believe in your business, it's very hard to sell something you don't believe in.
Yeah.
Right? So, if somebody says, oh, look, my business is an absolute dog. I hate it.
With fleas.
It's fleas, it's mangy, it's skinny, and I hate it. It's going to be a really, really, really hard deal to sell that business.
Yeah, I can understand why, because that is going to be projected onto the potential buyer who wants to buy the business.
That's right. Yeah, exactly right. So once you rapidly increase the value of the business, so we've got the pacifier in place, the next step is around promoting your business. Now, there's a great saying, and it goes, it only takes 2 buyers to to push up the price.
True.
Okay. Actually, I left a little bit out. At the very beginning around purpose, it is worthwhile identifying who potential buyers for your business are early, because that will help you in your prime section. You might put different systems and in place so that it's more valuable to a certain type of buyer.
Okay.
So then we move on to promote, and we're clear around who the potential buyer for that business is going to be. But we need to make sure we've got all our ducks in a row, because what happens is if you get somebody that's interested in buying your business, but you don't have your adjusted figures, you don't have all answers to their questions, and it takes a long time, you're going to lose a potential good buyer. So you've got to have all of that stuff arranged, ready to go. Okay? And then it's having a very targeted market around who you're going to sell your business to. Now, most people think, well, I'll just list my business in Gumtree, or I'll just randomly select a business broker or a real estate agent. And those are the guys that normally don't sell their businesses.
That's part of the 84%.
84% of the businesses that don't sell. So where I go with that is, if you are going to use a broker, and there's some really good brokers out there, and there's a lot of really bad ones, right?
How can you tell the difference between a good broker and a bad broker?
So I've actually got a white paper which I'm happy to share.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We can put it as a link.
Yeah, and it's actually a chapter in the book as well.
Okay.
But really around...
What'd be really cool, and I'm sure you will do this for my listeners.
Sure.
I haven't asked you this yet.
Whatever you...
But say like a free chapter from your book. Can we attach a free chapter or something in there that they can have a read of that? So therefore they read that one part and go, okay, I want to get the rest of your book, which is Small Business Big Exit, How to Make More Money Selling Your Business Than Running It. And that's what we're talking about.
Yep, absolutely happy to do that.
Cool.
So where we go is you want to ask a couple of real good questions to qualify your broker. How many of the businesses like yours has he sold?
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah.
So there are brokers out there that specialize in special types of businesses. Like, I met a broker the other day. He only specializes in selling financial planners.
Okay.
So you reckon he's got a recipe that works?
If you're a financial planner, yes.
Absolutely. But would he be the right guy to list your podiatry business with?
I could ask him. Have you sold any other podiatry practices?
How many other podiatry
Because I know there are places that do specialize in healthcare, for example. So I assume there's other businesses that do the same.
Yep, absolutely.
And then there's the ones that just do everything.
And also you need to know whether your broker's a buyer's broker or a seller broker. In other words, if you get approached by somebody, which is what happened with my client, he got approached. Oh, we may be interested in buying your business. We've got a client for you.
Oh, so he was approached by a broker.
A broker.
He wasn't approached by the actual business itself.
No.
Okay, I don't know. Did you mention that earlier on, or you skipped that?
I skipped that part out.
Okay, so that now
but
changes that whole story.
But we didn't sell through the broker. So what happened is the broker came, planted the idea, but the broker was working for their client. So their clients had given them a mandate to go find businesses like his to buy.
Okay.
So he was really excited. He's like, oh, I'm dealing with this broker. He really seems to know what he's doing, da-da-da-da-da. And I just went, remember, he doesn't work for you. How does he make his money? He's working for the potential buyer. So he planted the seed, okay?
Yeah.
And so we didn't end up selling to the broker's client because that would have been unethical. But what we did is we looked and we went, actually, there are other players in the market. So we identified who they were. And we approached them and said,
okay. Well, this story gets better.
It was a great story. And the really exciting thing was I'd actually worked with this client 4 years prior.
So it was the broker really, like you said, the broker planted the seed about someone could potentially want to buy your business for this amount.
That's right.
And then it just went from there.
Yeah. I'd worked with him about 4 years prior, and I'd worked together with him for about 2 years, and he'd got all the fundamentals right in his business, and it was a nice little business. It was just ticking over, but he had other plans. He gets the phone call. He phones me. What was really exciting then was like we'd already done a lot of the prime stuff already. It's just run-of-the-mill sort of stuff that we did. So anyway, being clear around who the broker works for is important. You want to be able to attract multiple buyers at the same time. You want to create a competitive environment. And then the final one is around perform, and that's where actually structuring the deal that works. And everybody just thinks, oh, it's easy, they give me a check or they do a transfer. I walk out and they walk in, and it's like, no. I mean,
No.
So yeah, tell us a bit about yours. 'Cause I mean, you sold to a much bigger company. They wanted your business from a strategic point of view. From the Pacify, was your business profitable?
Very.
Right.
What was best about it? It was very profitable, and
Yep.
I didn't have to work a day in there.
Awesome. And so you had strong cash flow, operational cash flow.
Yeah, very.
First impressions,
Beautiful place.
beautiful. Did you had employment contracts with your staff?
No.
No.
No, never had I never had employment contracts.
Did the person that when they bought your business,
They put employment contracts in place that everyone had to sign as part of the sale because they want to know that those people are either staying or going.
That's right. And did you have contacts with your suppliers?
Yes and no. Yes, I had. I had about 2 or 3 suppliers that I purchased equipment through and materials on a regular basis, and we had agreements in place, and they had to get transferred over.
That's right.
Yep.
And had you developed any sort of intellectual property that was unique to your clinic?
A little bit. A few things that were very unique to mine, but it was more they just wanted the name.
Right.
They wanted
the brand.
They wanted the trademark,
the
brand, so
yeah,
that I couldn't use it again.
Yep.
And that was about all they wanted. A book that I had written about heel pain. So a lot of the written intellectual, they wanted my website.
Yep.
They wanted the information off my website. They wanted all my blog articles because I had probably one of the best websites in the industry just with content. So they wanted all my content.
So now that's intellectual property. So these are assets, right? These are real assets.
It was my systems that they wanted. They wanted to know how the hell could I run such a successful business, not work a day in there myself, and my staff was so happy, and I made more profits than anybody else was making in the industry.
Okay, so and these are all these things you're mentioning in terms of the acronym of Pacify are under assets, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got this intellectual property. You've got your black caviar.
Yes.
Okay, so for those listening, Tyson in his book talks about black caviar, the racehorse, and what you do with the racehorse. Can I tell the story? Do you want
you tell the story.
So my understanding
I want to hear the story from your perspective of how you perceived what I wrote.
So if you've got a great racehorse, right, that horse is going to go out and race, but then it needs to rest. You can't keep on racing it. At some time, its performance is going to start to drop. So what you do is you then put it out to pasture, let it rest.
Have a bit of a break.
And then when it's ready again, you roll it out. And the analogy is we have certain adverts or certain marketing that works really, really well. And we use it, but then as things start to slow down, we take it off, we put it in the shelf, we know it works. And then when we need to, we can reactivate it. And I remember you talking when you were writing your first book around your heel pain. And so I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars that would have generated for you. But that is an asset. Like, every time you run that ad,
it was going to make money.
I was going to make money.
Yep. Every single time. So I called it black caviar, like advertising and marketing. So it was more when you find something that works, just keep running it until it looks like it's not performing. Give it a spell.
Yep.
Bring it back out. And that all came about because some people in sales reps would come to you and go, when are you going to change your ad? It's getting boring. You're running the same ad all the time. I go, yeah, well, when it stops working, I'll change it.
That's right.
But then what I do is just give it a rest, bring it back out again, and bang, straight away it would work. And a lot of businesses need it. So you're saying that's what you're talking about is they're all an asset of the business.
Yep. And so again, for those people that are listening to this podcast that may not be thinking of selling their business, but you start thinking about these key principles. What is the stuff that's working? When it stops working, has it stopped working, or has the market got tired of it? And another concept you spoke about was having a marketing file. Now, a lot of people save all their stuff on their computer and whatever, but it's really, really, really hard to find. Whereas if you've got a tangible marketing file, you can pull it out and go, well, we were really busy at this period. What were we doing leading up to it? And again, that's a formula for success. So whether you're selling the business, you can say, look, this is how we generate business. Because if I'm buying a business, I am buying future earning potential. Now, if you can give me peace of mind that this business is going to continue to do that, I'm going to be more likely to buy it.
Because it's not just about your business making money. It's about showing them why your business makes money.
And how they can do it.
Yeah, and how they can do it. If they just follow the same principles, they will make the same money. And if they've got new ideas, they may be able to make it better.
And so it's so funny you say that, right? This again is where when we talk about performing, emotion goes up and intelligence goes down. Sometimes as a business owner, what people do is they want to make themselves out to be clever.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they tell people how clever they are. Do you think a buyer wants to hear how clever you have to be to run your business?
No.
Right. So, be humble.
Yeah, business was, I always said my business was never about me. I never really, even when I did the sale, it wasn't about me. It was about the business. It was about what was in place, which made it run. It was about the good team, the systems, the marketing plans. And
again, I think where you were was exceptional on how you've done that. So some people listening to this podcast may still be involved in the day-to-day running of their business. And it doesn't mean you can't. Which you
have to be. Yeah. You have to know how your business works if you want to make your business work better.
Sure. But even if they're working, let's say they're working 40 hours a week in the business, it doesn't mean it's not saleable. But what you need to do is you need to make sure that it's independent of you.
Yeah. And I know of the people that bought my business also bought a number of other podiatry businesses, and you meet them at conferences.
Yes.
I'm the only one that sold and was able to walk away. Every other owner who sold their businesses still had to sign employment contracts and work there for a number of years or for a certain period of time because they were so attached to the business making money.
And again, this is around creating choices and structuring the deal.
Yeah.
So your deal, if they'd said to you, look, Tyson, you need to work there for the next 3 years.
They wanted me to. That was part of the thing initially. They said, ideally, we'd like you to work here. And I went, it's never going to be part of the deal. I said, having me actually work there as a podiatrist working, I said, it's not part of the deal.
But how good was that to be in that position to negotiate?
It was great.
Different to your Gold Coast story, right? Your
Completely different.
Yeah.
They're all, it's like chalk and cheese. They're so opposite to each other, from being forced to sell because of health, and the other one selling because I was approached and it was all on my terms.
Yeah. And this is again, so best time to start a business is when you want to, not when you have to. So
I've done both.
You've done both,
and I've done in between.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had a number of successful partnerships, and often when I go into a partnership, the first time I went into a partnership, my intention was I was never going to be the one leaving.
Yeah.
And so we had this really tight partnership agreement, but then when I wanted to leave, it worked against me, right? And so you get smarter at doing these things. I don't know how many businesses you've bought and sold, and
it's been about 20.
Oh my gosh!
So
you should have written this book.
But I had one when it was a business I had in Mackay, and that was the first one I'd done as a partnership.
Yep.
And it didn't end well. It didn't end. Financially it was good. The sale amount was okay for what it was at the time. But the partnership itself, I think what some people missed when they go into partnership is it's not just the partner you're going into business with. You're going into business with their life partner.
So true.
Like I was in partnership with another guy, and him and I got on great, but his wife to be was different. We had different thinking and stuff. So when I was talking to him, I wasn't talking to him.
Yeah.
I was talking to him and his wife. Even if it was just him in the room, I knew when I was talking to him, I'm not really talking to you, am I? You're going to leave here. Your wife's going to tell you what to do. You're going to come back and then talk to me. And so that ended the partnership.
And that's the biggest cause.
But I knew when to pull the pin too. I knew when to get out and let them just have it and run it themselves. So, no hard feelings.
The biggest cause of partnership breakdowns in businesses is not the partners themselves, it's their spouses. And this was advice I was given by one of my old business mentors. So I looked at going into a partnership, and my dad said, "Oh, Sam, partnerships aren't the best way to go." And I said, "Oh, Dad, what do you do in your 20s? You know so much, right?" And I said, "Look, I'm going to do it." And my dad said, "Well, then I'm going to give you this bit of advice. And it's like, plan the divorce before you get married." And part of that was we nominated an arbitrator. And we actually nominated 2 arbitrators, which was quite interesting, independent. And the other arbitrator's name was a guy called John. And he said to us, he said, "Sam, you guys are going to get on fine. It's not going to be a problem. I want to know before we go down here, what are your spouse's support of this partnership? He says, because without this, the partnership will fail.
Yeah.
And we actually all got on very, very well. Never ever went to arbitration, which was great. But the fact that it was there and we'd planned it, we'd worked together. So a partnership, I go, it's a bit like getting married. You've got to, you first got to decide whether you like them, then you're going to date them, then you're going to get engaged, and then you're going to get married.
Yeah.
And when you're married, using that analogy, you can't just walk away. There's skin in the game. But if you plan the divorce and you're very clear around what would happen if things don't work out, and also get very clear around your expectations of each other. And we'd worked so well together until we decided to go into partnership. Man, I have never argued so much with him in all my life. We argued and we drew up points and we ended up with this really big contract. That contract got put in a safe and we never ever looked at it again. But that's what made the partnership work, is we'd had the difficult conversations up front.
Yeah.
And one of my sayings is, I think this is mine, is friendships that are formed out of business are always better than businesses formed out of friendships.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, you and I are friends. We go to a pub, we're having a bowl of peanuts and a couple of beers, and we come up with this idea and we go, you know what? Let's go into business together. And a business is formed overnight. Tyson and Sam Co. We haven't planned out what our roles and responsibilities are, what our expectations are. It's just because we both had the same idea over a beer.
Yeah.
That is going to end in tears. 9 times out of 10.
That's good to keep in mind.
But if it's through business, I'm really good mates with a number of my clients. There's actually an observation my daughter made.
Yeah.
She goes, why is that? And I go, because I work with cool people. But if a friend comes to me and wants to be coached by me or worked with me, I normally would just, as a friend, give them advice and possibly point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Because the relationship can change.
Yeah, and it is different. I've heard that a lot, where someone can be friends with somebody, and then when they then become a client of that person, all of a sudden their relationship completely changes because that person now treats them as a client. Instead of just going to have a coffee with them and just chatting, it's, oh, do you want to have a coffee? It's all like, well, is this one of our coaching sessions, is it? No, it's just a coffee like you used to do before you're a client. So I can see the awkwardness. So have we got off track?
We have got off track.
Okay.
But again, I think it's around setting expectations, and that comes to perform. And it's being clear around, having the contracts, knowing what it is that you want from the deal, being clear around what they want, and also not getting too emotionally attached to the outcome. Half the strength of negotiation is to be able to walk away.
Yeah. Okay. So what step are we up to?
So we've done promote, and then I jumped to the 5th step, which is perform. So the 5 steps are purpose, understanding why you want to sell, when you want to sell, and who you're going to sell to. Peak is getting an idea of what your business is worth in today's market. Prime, we talked about that acronym of pacify.
Yeah.
So rapidly increasing the value of your business. Promote is around attracting multiple buyers for your business, and then perform is actually doing the deal.
So for business owners,
Yep.
they should be taking that all on board and like in the head pretending, I'm going to sell my business to a multinational company one day. I need to get everything ready for them to walk through the door so they go, my God, this is an awesome business and I want to buy it. That's what they should be doing, even if that's not what their intention is for the next 10 or 15 years. They should just be setting it up, getting it ready for one day selling it if they choose to do it.
And it goes back to that. I agree with you.
But even if they're forced to sell it, I would rather have a business that is running like a bloody machine and all of a sudden there's a health problem and you're forced to sell it. It's going to be a lot easier to sell a business that is awesome than, even if you don't want to sell it, than trying to sell a dog.
And everything you're doing to prepare the business for sale, you're going to benefit from anyway.
That's what I found with my business. The day I decided that I was one day going to sell this, for a good price, that's what you always hoped. I didn't know who or where or when. But the day I started doing that and I started doing the right things in my business and setting up the right way, all of a sudden I made more money every month, every year without fail.
And you run your business like a business.
Yeah.
A couple of things to watch out for. People go, they take cash out of their business. Okay. Well, let's say you have a really good business and you're going to sell that on a multiple. Let's just use an easy number of 3.
Are you saying cash like under the table?
Yeah,
they're
so
taking cash
they're
out?
taking,
They're putting it in the back pocket.
They're putting it in their back pocket, right? So you go to buy their business, they go, oh yeah, those are those figures, but actually we make this money.
We don't care about that.
We don't care about that, right? But also every $100 you take out, let's say you got an average business, you're actually losing $150 when you sell the business, the multiple of 1.5. But if you've got a really good business and you're going to sell it for a multiple of 3 or 4, every $100 cash you take out to save your 30% tax, so every $100 you take out to save $30, you're actually losing $300.
Yeah, I had a friend of the family who was an older guy. This is when I first went into business, and he said, Tyson, if I can give you any advice, he said, this is it. Declare everything you make. He said, because one day the tax office is going to come knocking on your door. They're going to do an audit, and if you've done nothing wrong, he said, you know what? You won't care. You'll go to sleep that night and have no concerns whatsoever. He said, that's the best advice I get. He said, because there's enough legal ways of using your business to your advantage. You don't have to just be diddling money out. And I took that on board 30 years ago, and that is the way I've gone all the way through.
And you want to have a good proactive accountant. You know, you want an accountant to be involved. You don't want to just abdicate responsibility. You want to be meeting with your accountant and being proactive, and that way you can minimize your tax. But never minimize your tax at the cost of cash flow. So sometimes we see people buying stuff and going, why did you buy that new car? Oh, I want to save on tax.
Yeah.
Now your cash flow's stuffed.
Yeah.
How's that going to work? So you got having a good accountant that understands small business and that is willing to work with you, I think is key. And that also helps you set your business up for sale. But also, just going back to the other point about cash, if you take cash out of your business, it sets an example to your staff.
Oh, yeah.
So don't be surprised when you find out that they've been having their hand in the till as well.
And that's one of the systems that every business should have, is I set my business up in a way that I couldn't take cash out.
That's right.
Because I knew that, you know what, I'm not going to be at the business. I wasn't going to be at the business every day. So if I can't take cash out, that means nobody can take cash out without there being a trace.
That's right.
So to me, like you said, you might be diddling, taking out $100, but when you go to sell the business, it might be costing you $300. But you know what? It might be costing you a lot more, because if you can take it out, that means your staff can take it out.
And just to be clear, this podcast is not sponsored by the ATO, but
No.
this is good.
No, to me, it comes down to, it's about integrity.
That's right.
And I like to know, when I sold my business and I gave them the figures, what I gave them were the figures.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything dodgy in there. What they got was the truth. So when I got my sale price, I was very comfortable with it. They were happy with it.
Yep.
What they did with it afterwards is entirely up to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So Sam, we've sort of come to the end of episode 2 with Sam Harrop. So I just want to point out to people, if you want to find Sam Harrop, he is online very easily. He just go to samharrop.com.au, and Harrop is HARROP.
That's right.
.com.au. The name of his book is Small Business Big Exit: How to Make More Money Selling Your Business Than Running It. And you can find Sam on LinkedIn. He does go on Facebook occasionally, but best way to contact Sam is sam@samharrop.com.au. So Sam, thank you once again for being on It's No Secret with Dr. T. I got heaps out of today. I hope you did.
I had fun and got a lot out and learned more about you, actually. Isn't that interesting?
I'm a deep character.
Oh, deep.
Okay, Sam, thanks for coming in again.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.
Cheers.
Well, as you probably gathered, I could sit there and listen to Sam Harrop talk about small business all day, and especially about the tips about exiting your business. Something I just wanted to repeat, and we spoke about it during the conversation at the beginning, midway through it, was even if you're not thinking of selling your business right now, it's something that you need to consider. Not now, but in the future. But even just applying what Sam spoke about is going to add more value to your business. So if you think about it, you add more value to your business means every month you're going to put more money in your pocket, which is going to be a big benefit to your lifestyle and the lifestyle of your family. But think about it down the track. The day you decide that you do want to sell your business, then it is going to be far more valuable if you start thinking about it now than if you just wait until you actually have to do it. So my guests next week Poppy and Jeff Spencer, and they have a podcast called The Relationship Restaurant, and they are relationship experts. Now, I want to get them on the show because a lot of small business owners, they work closely with their spouse. Could be husband, wife, or it could be a partner that you've had a long-term relationship with. And I wanted to talk to them about how spouses and partnerships work together, but just relationships in general when it came to small business. Here's a little snippet about what they're going to talk about next week, which I think you're going to enjoy.
And just going back to your initial question about couples working together, there can be a beautiful reframe here. If you have, the idea of two heads are better than one, if you can have both of you come together with that experience from the day that maybe happened in the workplace, it's so advantageous to everybody to have two perspectives. And that's why I think working together as a husband and wife team, we really over deliver on what we can offer people for insights and guidance and reflection.
I really, really enjoyed talking with Poppy and Jeff, and I learned so much about relationships and how they actually fit in small business. Now, before I go, if you have any thoughts after listening to this episode, I'd love to hear from you. Now, you can leave comments on my website, tysonfranklin.com, or you can reach me on Facebook and LinkedIn. Just look for Tyson E. Franklin. Otherwise, you can track me down Twitter and Instagram. Just look for Tyson Franklin 66. Okay, that's all from me. Take care of yourselves, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.